Hey everyone, welcome to today's stream. So we're doing an impromptu Monday stream after everyone in America has enjoyed their turkey and all the lovely food there. So I hope you're all ready to get writing. So we're going to be looking at style guides, what they are, how to make them, and where to use them in Novelcrafter. Boop. Did that not- Okay, so today we're going to look at what is a style guide. We'll look at a few examples of style guides, some styles across genres, defining your own style, writing a style guide prompt, and using a prompt that we have to make your own style guide and kind of narrow that down, and then how to use it. Hi, Joe. Joe is typing. How are you doing? And Swesuf, lovely to have you here. Um, I hope you're enjoying your hobbyist writing experience. If you're doing it with Novelcrafter. So yeah. Okay. So what is a style guide? A style guide is essentially like, if we're gonna go all formal, it's like a standard for your writing and formatting to ensure that everything is nice and consistent across the board. So think of it as a recipe. It's the ingredients and the steps to keep everything consistent, and so that every time you make the recipe or do some writing, the outcome is the same. This isn't just for AI writing. If you're writing in a shared universe, or you're doing like the Mills and Boon novels, there's certain style and writing that they adhere to. If you're a ghostwriter, you'll use a style guide for the author that you're writing for. This will include things like spelling and grammar, so punctuation preferences, if you like em dashes or not, formatting, and spelling conventions. You also have a lot of things that are personal preference. So, voice and tonal guides, sentence pacing throughout a scene, and general visual flow. Like, do you like things to be um, lots of short lines, lots of white space on a page, or do you prefer everything to be a little bit more like kind of close together? Oh, absolutely, Joe. I will tell no one that you're sneaking on while working. So, one of the most common things, like if you think about a writing style, or at least um, from an academic background, I think of like APA, Chicago style, kind of things for papers, nonfiction writing. So Chicago style, any number below 100 is spelt out, and then after that, you use the numbers. It uses the Oxford comma. Titles, as in like The Great Gatsby, they are in italics. Commas and periods go inside quotation marks. So it's an American style, this that we're looking at, and there are no spaces around em dashes. Chicago style is also the go-to most trade fiction publishers, so like Penguin, HarperCollins, kind of those in the US they go to. So it's a good, if you wanted a basis for the grammar of your style, that could be something to look at. Now, what about authors themselves? Obviously, you don't see authors being like, "This is my style guide," publishing it just out there for the world to see. However, in his memoir on writing, Stephen King did say a few things about his style. Um, so he will always use a simple word over a complicated version. He will avoid adverbs and the passive voice. He will use knowledge that he has to like sprinkle in a bit of extra, but he'll never use it to like lecture the reader. And often the first word that comes to mind for a situation is the best one. And so he generally tries to abide by that. What about other authors? So here we have George Orwell, author of 1984. These are direct quotes, I think, from him. So never use a metaphor, simile, or other figure of speech that you are used to seeing in print. So trying not to be repetitive. So that's almost like applying the frequency principle, like penalties in his day-to-day writing. He will never use a long word when a short word will do. If it's possible to cut out a word, always cut it out. So that kind of follows in with the adverbs, adjectives, that kind of thing. Never use the passive when you can use the active. Never use a foreign phrase, a scientific word, or a jargon if you can think of an everyday equivalent. Because if you're writing fiction, most lay people won't know the term. And break any of those rules rather than saying something really ridiculous, like keep it simple. Style also changes across genre. So let me scroll down to my next bits of notes. So there there's no like spoken rules necessarily, but there's familiar patterns, tropes, and themes that readers expect when they pick up a book. Style isn't just about grammar and punctuation, it's shaping pacing, sentence structure, dialogue conventions, and what information gets revealed when. So I've got this table here of kind of thriller, romance, literary, and fantasy. And you can see that there's very much like a difference in pacing. Thrillers are fast paced, and you very rarely take time to world build. They're more often or not set in the modern everyday world. You can grasp from just general context where you are. Whereas um, literary often is deliberately reflective. It's slowed down, making you think. Fantasy can have some epic, fast-paced moments, but also you have a lot of world building, and that can slow down the pace, but it's expected of the genre. If you had a really big world building section in a thriller, it would feel at odds. Sentence length. Um, while thrillers would have sharp, short, punchy sentences, other genres might mix things up, have a variation, point of view. Sorry? Point of view. So this I thought was very interesting in that most of these like have some kind of variation on just one character's point of view. Fantasy, whilst it is often with one person, you can get multiple, like in Game of Thrones. Thrillers often have, and cozy mysteries often have lots of characters um, and point of views. Again, it varies between the one extreme or the other. Romances either have your protagonist or both love interests, like both couple as the point of view characters, and dialogue tags. Whereas a thriller will kind of leave out dialogue tags to try and kind of keep things more fast paced. It's a reflection of that, of the previous choices. Romance, literary, and fantasy will vary more and kind of focus more, slow things down, go into the actions and the thoughts behind every time something is said. Um, of course, you can always break the rules. Just double checking the comments. Okay. And so now we get to thinking about your style. Developing your own writer's voice requires you to kind of do all that like introspective knowing yourself. But it's separate from a writing style. Um, to develop your voice, you kind of have to like investigate and look at your way of noticing the world and like your filter. But style is the way you use to capture that on the page. So it manifests in like your tone, your word choice and sentence structure, figurative language, all that kind of thing. Um, your author's voice is kind of like more innate thing, but a style you can refine and improve. So, what kind of things are in a style? So, sentence structure. Do you prefer like long flowing sentences or lots of sharp, fast paced? Um, your word choice, likewise. Do you prefer simple monosyllabic words? Do you have an elevated vocabulary? Like, this isn't just in terms of like your characters, this is the narration. Like, do you prefer specific concrete words or something that's a bit more abstract? Tone, do you have a more sarcastic writing tone, a humorous, calm and intentional? Are you more assertive? or passive when you write. Pacing, not just about like sentence length. What is your balance of action, description, dialogue? How do you like that? Do you have dialogue drive your narrative, or do you prefer to kind of take things more in a contemplative route? Point of view preferences. Do you prefer first person, third person? Not as big a personal style guide. I guess this is more per book, per series kind of thing. Do you prefer to use exclusively one point of view, or do you want to be able to move around and explore lots of different styles within a narrative? And then the last two are perhaps less spoken about. So the first is details. So what do you notice? Do you, as a writer, gravitate towards emotional states, physical environment, social dynamics? What do you like writing about? Like when you see a room, like you walk into a cafe, is the first thing you notice the smell of the coffee or the pastries? Or is it the chipped paint on the door frame? Or is it the couple in the corner who are trying to hide an argument? You kind of want to think about what you naturally look to first and what you want to include as you're describing a scene. And likewise, what do you want to leave out? Um, what do you need the readers to know, and what do you trust them to infer from everything else you're giving them? Are you a minimalist or a maximalist with your writing? That kind of thing. Now, a lot of this you will develop over time. As you write more, you will get a better appreciation for what you prefer. But we're not, if we're writing with AI, we also want to be able to hone our style so that we know what to tell the AI to write. Um, so you can do this. So like if you had, say, some of your own writing, you could always try like feeding this into AI, getting it to whittle down these choices. But you might not want to do that. You might want to kind of go in as from scratch. And for this effect, we've written a preset. So this is already in our in the link in the description. There's a link to a repository where I'm going to start adding some prompts. We have. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm probably making you all yawn as well. I need to breathe more. We have our prompt for AI style guiding wizard. So we've got we've given it a role, a process, and some instructions. You can read through these in your own time. We're going to go through this prompt though for my kind of romance thriller, Hooked. So I'm going to go into chat. I'm going to hide that, make this full screen, and go into the AI selection. Is this screen big enough for you, or do you want it bigger? Style creation guide. I'm gonna try. I don't know. I'm gonna try 2.5 Pro. I think that's still my favorite. So I'm just gonna type in "Let's begin," and we'll see how this starts. It might be that I need to increase if I go on tweak and generate. Actually, before we start, I'm just going to increase the memory cutoff because I think this might be more than 14 messages. Have any of you ever used prompting to try and kind of like whittle down your style? Okay, hello, it's great to connect with you today. Monday, 1st of December, and I'm ready to help you build a personalized creative writing guide for your novel, Hooked. It'll help us define a unique and consistent voice for your story. Let's begin with section 1, story foundation. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the prose, we need to establish the basic context of your story. This will allow me to tailor all the examples to fit you perfectly. Based on the information I have, so we have some global codex entries. So if I filter by is global. So we can see here. we have a romantic suspense novel, specifically a slick corporate thriller aimed at an adult audience. Is this correct, or would you like me to refine the genre or audience description before we start? Uh, this is perfect. So it's taken the information already in my book, but obviously, if you have a blank book, you would give it the genre. Okay, so this section 2, establish the structural bones of your story, the nuts and bolts of how sentences and paragraphs are constructed on the page. Our first topic, 2.1, is sentence length and rhythm. This is about how long your sentences typically are. Do you prefer them punchy and short, long and flowing, or a mix? The rhythm of your sentences is a primary driver of your story's pacing. Here are three distinct. Here are three distinct approaches. Which one resonates most with you? Okay, so staccato and punchy, flowing and complex, and variable for effect. So I'm going to look at these and see which feels. Maybe if I open up some of my writing and then open up this chat and pin it, we can see how I kind of write and try and match it to this a little bit more. The server pinged another breach. He typed in the lockdown command, access denied. A cold sweat traced a line down his spine. She was already inside. He was too late. The server pinged with an alert he'd been dreading for weeks, a quiet chime that signified another catastrophic breach from which they might not recover. He attempted to key the lockdown command, his fingers flying across the keyboard with practiced ease, only to be met with the stark finality of an access denied message that confirmed his worst fear. She was already inside the system. I don't think either of those feel right. I think, to be honest, we're going to go probably for example C. The server pinged, just a single quiet chime. He leaned forward, eyes scanning the code cascading down the screen. A knot of ice formed in his stomach as he saw the corrupted data packet, a signature he knew all too well. She was here. He scrambled for the lockdown command, but the system was already fighting him. Access denied. He slammed his fist on the desk. Too late. I guess. Okay, so Isaku asks, is this something you can add into an almost complete draft? I would say you could try giving it a sample of your writing and getting it to analyze that for each of the categories. This is more for like the beginning when you're trying to like work it out, but I'm just kind of using my writing as a eye sight, like kind of to eyeball it and get an idea. So I feel like example C is the closest with a bit more. Yeah, no, I think example C is the closest. We're going to keep go with that. And we'll just kind of see how things go. Okay. So based on that, here's a proposed rule. The Prose will use variable sentence length to consciously control pacing. Short, punchy sentences will be used for high stakes. Okay. So we've got a part of the style guide with a rationale. At the end, we can tweak things and kind of make them a little we can review them. I'm just for the purpose of this, rather than having me review every single message, I'm like, okay, well, let's just, we don't need to go over each rule. We can review them at the end, but okay. So understand, I'll synthesize the results based on your choice and we'll review the full guide at the end. This will be much more efficient. Okay, let's move on to the next topic in prose mechanics. The topic is about visual weight of your prose on the page. How much information do you pack into a single paragraph? Frequent breaks create a faster, more accessible read, while denser blocks can convey complexity and detail. So here we have a mix of them both. Like, we don't have lots of this. So it's not airy and spacious, I would say. It's definitely not dense blocks. I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be something more where C is everything. So I'm going to add, please don't just go to the extremes. One moment, everyone. Can you just leave it by the door? I'll grab it. Come on, Dilly, move. Back it up. Come on, Dilly. Sorry about that, y'all. That's what happens when your food delivery is late. Okay, let's see what it's doing. Right. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, amazing. This is about how a character's direct internal thoughts are shown to the reader. This choice has a significant impact on the narrative's intimacy and flow. How do you want it? Okay. Do I want it italicized? Um, hmm. I think I would go, for me, it would be woven into the prose without decoration. And I'm really curious, do you have any of you finding that your answers to these questions are different? Or are they staying kind of the same? Are you are you finding that your voice sounds similar so far? Okay, active versus passive. Most of the time, I think people will be going for a very active voice. Um, I think strongly active. I did actually spend some time looking at that. But I think for this, we want to keep. Okay, this is about how directly the reader experiences the story. So I mean, instantly I'm thinking minimal filtering. Although, except for resting other. Minimal filtering. Okay, Sweet Stuff says, I tend to here and there put several punchy sentences on separate rows, if you will. Yeah. I think sometimes, like, for effect, that's really good. And sometimes, like a style guide, it's a guide. Like, you are going to have exceptions to the rules. But, we're getting there. Okay, so we've started on section 3, voice and tone. So how the prose sounds, overall narrative tone. So here they've tailored a few options for the corporate thriller. So you might get other versions when you do this prompt with your genre, which is good. That's what you want in a prompt. It needs to be flexible. Okay, well, absolutely Ryan's technical. That's very much a me writing style preference. I like to kind of be a bit more like, yeah. I think it's just that's kind of like almost like my voice as well as my style. So it works for the tone. Okay, emotional register. Obviously, some of this prose is a little bit OTT, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to use that. But we're just kind of taking it as an option. I might afterwards get this prompt to try and put through some of this writing and see if it does things like if it analyzes the same as how I like my preferences. I think a mix of A and B for this. Because I think it does depend on like context as well. Um, I would edit this, of course, like the style guide, the examples. I would always want to make sure that I'm going to um remove any AI-isms as you were. I like as it were. So now we're looking at figurative language, like metaphors, that kind of thing. Okay, so here I'm like, okay, absolutely a sparse. Like, immediately just reading it, I was like, God. When you use figurative language, what is its flavor? What are comparisons drawn from? This helps ground the prose and the character's specific worldview. Given you're using them sparingly, the style is even more important. Okay, so this is like okay, so genre rooted. So these all feel a bit. So I'm being here like I'm not really sure. Oh, let me double check. I've not received the little thing warning me yet, but if I go style guide, tweak and generate. Yeah, so I just clicked on the number and then save. So yeah, I done it. Don't worry. But thank you for double checking on me. Um okay, could you tell me what fell off? The comparison's too cliche. They felt too cliche and long-winded. Um, I feel this style would use short, bouts of figurative language rather than anything that long. Um, so isn't just short. Okay, let's synthesize a new rule. They feel better, yeah. I again would edit some things out, but yeah. Okay, so we've got dialogue and flow. So I'm going to put here a mix of A and B. We don't need actions integrated for each line, only when absolutely necessary. So yes, we have minimalist here, action integrated, and traditional. But I think like a lot of this is like it's doing so many examples, like it's that's why I've added this. We don't need it integrated for every line, just so it doesn't accidentally think that that's what we want. Um, okay, dialogue, beats, and pacing. So this is looking, yeah. So what happens between the lines of speech? Okay. Interruptions and trailing off. So this is more on grammar. So whether you prefer em dashes and ellipses, so I would absolutely use example A. I really like having people interrupt each other in speech, even interrupting themselves. No one ever completes no one ever completes a complete train of thought. So I'm like, no, gotta keep that. So, oh, D, 4 examples. Okay, so scene constructions. We're moving on to the camera work of our prose. The scene governs how scenes are built. Sorry, this section governs how scenes are built, what details are focused on, and how close the reader is to the character's perspective. So we're looking at which sense we're using as a dominant sense, it seems. Oh, it's raining outside. Sound dominant. I feel like I probably am visual dominant. I guess, but I'm like some balance, but visual dominant. I guess balance of the others is maybe what I wanted to say. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that's fine. So what we could always do is take this style guide like as is verbatim, and then see if we can like condense it as well and see how different they make. Okay, so action scenes. Hmm. I feel like the visceral and intermediate, immediate would be nearest to what I want. Um, I'm just kind of reminding it of things as well from my earlier decisions. Am I reading all of these? No. I feel like example C. That felt more along the lines of what I wanted. Okay. So conveying subtext. Okay. I'm going to go with a combination of C and A. Kind of wish it didn't always say that. I could tell it, but effort. Okay, exposition and world building delivery. Oh, a mix of B and D. I'm kind of like wondering how long was this prompt. I can't remember, but we will see. Okay, density of world building detail. B. Okay, so now we can see here cutoff has been reached for Swesuf. So I'm going to click here to change the limit. I'm going to go down, switch it to 48. Boop. Flashbacks, memories, dream sequences. So I'm probably not going to do many of these, but you know. B, I think. Oh. Yeah, B. But this is going really in depth. It might be that you don't want to go this in depth and you'll like cut bits out, and that's totally fine. Like we're just kind of getting an idea of what we want in a style guide. Scenes of intimacy. Oh my god. How is Gemini gonna write it? Scenes of intimacy. Great. Mm, I mean, I feel maybe A for this particular story, but yeah, we're going with this particular story. Um, it's a bit rawer. Okay. Um, I think I'd go for A still. Let's go super on the darker side, I think, for this. It's a bit E, but clues and red herrings. I mean, that doesn't feel subtle. Let's go for A. I feel the other two are too obvious. Okay, amazing. I think that it's thought, oh, I'm going to do it, and then it's not done it. So I'm just like, okay. Just give you the reminder that you need to compile that document. Okay. Okay, I like this. This seems like it would work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. So just press the copy button. And now what I'll do is go into prompts. And I'll press clear so that we can see all the prompts and just minimize these. We're going to do a scene beat completion. Now, when I start doing a scene beat completion, if it's not using a preset, I still often start with the general purpose prompt as a starting point. It's easier, everything is there and correct. So we can go up and clone it. And I'm going to call this, I guess I'll just call this hooked. Now I'm going to go into the instructions, and this section here is, as it says in the instructions, in custom prompts, you can customize these to match your personal style. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to paste in our instructions. Actually, wait, undo my, oh, I suppose it would be like that because it's not, yeah, okay, ignore me. I might have to reformat this a little bit. Which is better? Okay, so at this point you're like, okay, we've got some bits that we want to change. So I'm going to do in Novelcrafter in our prompts. If you want a bit of information that you can toggle, you can put it in these like these triangle brackets. So I'm just going to call this rules. And then obviously this is minimizing everything below it. So you want an ending. So I'm going to go here and do these triangle brackets again, but do a forward slash in them and type in rules. And this is kind of like a shortcut to being able to minimize like or to group together the bits you want. So if I click the arrow next to number 6, we can now see it kind of minimizes the rules, and you can nest these within each other. So that's what I'm going to do for this, I think, to kind of make things a little bit easier to see. Um, so I'm going to do these like very simple, I think. And this is just going to be 1. Instead of calling them section 1, 2, I'm just going to call them. Wait, no, I'm going to have to. Am I? Okay, I'm going to have to call them S1. That's fine. S2. So we're ending it. And then we're starting S3. I'm going to ignore. Actually, no, I'm not going to ignore them. Forward slash S3. Close triangle brackets. S4. Get rid of the hashtags. S4, boop, boop, S5. Get rid of hashtags. Forward slash S5, close, open, S6, close. I like that it's including the rationale. So it might be that we now want to start working on this different variations and seeing what fits best. So S6, S7. I think was there 9 sections? Okay, only 8. Amazing. Okay, guys, we have this now. So we can minimize for organization. I might get rid of the rationale, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know exactly how it'll be. So I'm just going to minimize the rules so I can check everything else. So for now, I'm going to keep these the same. I've not addressed any of this aspect in my prompt. I'm going to leave everything else as it is, I think. Yeah. So then if we go into writing, into the write interface, I have a hooked preset. So I might. What is the scene beat for 7? I'm trying to find the first scene that I've is not complete. Did I know what was happening in chapter 9? Okay. So I need to now kind of work out where I've finished the story. So this might not work quite as well. Okay, let's do 7. 6? Sorry, guys. I'm just like trying to find a scene beat that I want to write and see. I should. Okay, so I'm going to select all of this and just put it in a section. And I'm going to try a few different models. So we've got this style guide. It's quite big, but we want to see how it does. So I'm gonna go to my hooked prompt. Have I wait, prompts. I need to add so attach a collection, Kate's models, and new model tests, I guess. Okay. I might rename that to hooked presets so we can see it. Okay. So we have hooked original. I'm going to go tweak and generate. We want it to write 1,500 words. Let's start with Gemini Pro. Given that that was what we wrote this prompt with. You can see we've got our rules here. It's all included. We've got the context of previous prose. Yeah, let's just go. And I might try it with a few different models just to see how it does. I gave it some information from before, like the prose before. I mean, the fact that he's Dave is great. Okay, so this is given structure. I mean, I'm not as big fan of Gemini's prose writing, so perhaps this was a bad example. But I feel like it is giving, yeah, similar vibes. Let me. How many words was it? Nah, it was within the thing. Let's try. Does anyone have any model requests? I'll try Sonnet 4.5. I think that's what I've been using to write it before. The fact you had to pay for water, God. So this is following the instructions better, I feel like, for certain. Or like it's just better at writing, you know. No, I like this. I think this is kind of following the style. What do you guys think? Do you think this is following the kind of style that we were choosing when writing? Obviously, it's gone way over the 1,500 words requested, but I think this is following the style guide quite well, actually. Okay, yeah. I started reading this too much. But look, Robert says, so first you fill in the style guide, and do you then both put it? So I've put it in the model prompt itself and not as a style guide in my codex. Um, I'm kind of showing it this way because I want to overwrite the original style guide, essentially. It's not a bad style guide, it works very well, but for this particular voice, um, I wanted to try this out, and it's kind of like the one of the first steps into prompt editing that I think kind of is attainable. Like, a lot of you will already have a style guide codex entry or other bits that you can easily put in. Like, another thing that would be really easy to tweak would be the role. Um, so here you could add in details about the genre or other other things that you kind of find are very important to the role. Um, so you might be an expert fiction writer of thrillers. You might be like, you really enjoy reading and like you might include some like books that they enjoy reading or like a bit about give them a character. That would be something that you could do in this section. And it kind of keeps everything kind of neat and together and just kind of getting things started. Like you could easily have like if I remove my filters, do I have a style guide in here? Okay, no, I don't have a style guide. I've got my story genre, but I have my hooked preset, and all this preset has is when we're writing from Gwen's point of view. It's Prose is witty, sharp, without fluffiness. She's an investigator and thinks things through logically. She's not prone to using verbose language in her thoughts and actions. Focus on observations, how they might impact on her. Yada yada. No rambling. So you could easily use this in a preset, or you could put this just within the prompt itself, keep things together. That kind of thing. I hope that answers your question, Robert. Does anyone have any questions before we head off? It's almost the hour up. Hi, Alex. I'm sorry you've arrived. You've arrived as we're like wrapping things up. But yeah, it's been a good hour. I feel like that actually has a lot of promise. The prompt we would want to, I think you'd want to do a few tweaks when using it yourself. Definitely get it to not give a summary of the rule every time. You don't need to know the rule every single time you make some prose. Okay, Alex. Alex's questions around working with specific characters, unique voices, and overall style guide. So I would perhaps then do presets of your prompt. If you've got rules that everyone follows, and then you might be like, okay, well, I'm going to have some instructions still. And I'm going to make a preset for hooked. So I would go new preset. I might be like, Gwen, I'm going to add in her preset information from here. Hiya, baby. How are you doing? So we're going to go to Gwen, which was our hooked preset. So I can open that up. Add instructions. Boop. Add in words. 2000. And I might add in a model. I might be like, okay, I'm still going to use 4.5. And so we've got this here. We can see our preset. If I go into my default prompts, I might go to hooked and be like, okay, we're going to now change this to the Gwen preset. And then in write, when I make a new scene beat, we can see we have Gwen with sonnet 2000. If I go into tweak and generate, you can see the prompt is there. We've got our instructions pre-filled. So you can use specific character voices within different presets within your master prompt. Also, if you're doing different stories, as your story chain, you do different stories and they're slightly different, you might find you want to use the same overall prompt, but there are a few little tweaks, and presets would be your best friend for that. I hope that answers your question, Alex. Does anyone have any more questions? If not, I have a very, very hungry puppet to feed. But okay, thanks. I'm working on a scene between a Cambridge professor versus a Griot character. Okay, I mean, if you're doing a scene with two characters, you would just have your character bios, I think. Like, it's only for a point of view character. I feel you really need instructions on like style and kind of things. So for multiple point of views, you could create presets for each point of view character. Yeah, that's probably how I would do it in this. Or you could have a codex detail that said when writing, when using this point of view, you have this style of writing and seeing through things. That could also be something you could use, but like if you've not got loads of prompts or presets, that doing a preset would be an easy way of getting around it. Okay. Yeah, well, thank you everyone for coming. It has been a great day. Happy Cyber Monday, I think it is. Happy holidays, all that jazz. And we'll see you on Saturday, where we might be doing something with the monthly muse, which is going to come out tomorrow, rather than today, just so that it doesn't, get lost in all the Black Friday kind of marketing stuff. So monthly muse is coming tomorrow. It's festive themed, and quite a bit of fun. And we're going to look at some character archetypes on Saturday. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'll see you then. Bye.